What's up everyone? So I just posted a video on my main channel about my body transformation from before pregnancy, during pregnancy, and after pregnancy. I've talked about it on this vlog channel before, like what my body's gone through. But one thing I left out of the main channel video is the information about my breasticles and my vagina. I took the information out about the boobsicles and the vaginsicles because I just felt like it was like a little too much. Like, even though it's educational and it's natural and every woman who has a baby goes through really big body changes, so I feel like we should be able to talk about it more openly. I didn't want to put jarring footage of my breasts being terrifying and talk about what happened to my vagina and the stitches and all of that jam in a video that people probably just clicked on to see what my body looked like before and after pregnancy, and then that's what they clicked on, and then all of a sudden they get like my wormy veiny boobies in their face. So if you guys came here to see that, you're in luck because I'm going to show you. First I'll talk about my boobsicles and then I'll talk about my vaginsicles. Basically my boobs are so different looking now. Like, they used to be just cute little normal boobs. Like, I had normal-ish nipples, I think. I don't really have much to compare it to, but I feel like I had like cute normal looking boobs. And then now, after breastfeeding for almost 2 months, they look like breastfeeding boobs. They are really big and the nipples are bigger and a totally different shape. But the weirdest part about my boobs now is that there's like these veins all over them and like red scar marks. I don't really know how else to explain them. I've looked it up online and I haven't seen anyone else who has these things all over their boobs. So I have footage of it. Like I said, this is jarring because it's like close-ups of my boobs. Now, I am covering up my nips with my hands in this footage, but for some reason seeing the under part of a boob to me is just like really aggressive. It's no different than seeing like the top part of cleavage, and I feel like this is educational and it's not like sexual in any way. It's literally me showing you like this is what happened to my breasts after pregnancy and now breastfeeding. No part of this is me, I don't know, trying to sexualize this at all. Like, this is literally, I'm showing you, I use my boobs for why I have them, to breastfeed, and this is what they look like now. So here is this footage of what happened to my boobs. You can see underneath my boobs. See, like, how's this any different than showing the top of my cleavage, you know? But see all those veins and red marks? It's definitely worse in person than it is on the camera. I'm also not showing you most of my boobs because, hello, this is not a porno, this is YouTube. So that's what my boobs look like now, which is really cool. Shout out if any y'all mamas know what that's like or experience that as well. Like, it doesn't even look close to as bad on camera as it does in person. Like, in person it looks way worse in my opinion. Like, terrifying to me every time I look in the mirror. It doesn't just look like skin and nipple, it's like veiny, scarred, red lined welt craziness, and then nipple that are really big and leaking milk 24/7. So that's really cool. Anyway, moving on, who cares? My vagina. So if you guys have been watching my vlogs or watching any of my videos really, I've talked about that I had a lot of damage done to my vagina during the birth. So I had a vaginal birth. The baby came out my vagina. I did not do a C-section. They didn't cut him out. And I was very aggressive and an overachiever when they told me to push him out. So I pushed really, really hard and really long each time. I wanted that kid out of me as quickly as possible. So I pushed for 30 minutes, but it's not like straight 30 minutes. They go like push during every contraction, and you push for like 10 seconds and then you take a break for a couple seconds. Then you push for 10 seconds, you take a break. You push for 10 seconds, you take a break, and then you take a long break until your next contraction. So I think I pushed for 30 minutes, but I probably did like 8 to 10 big pushes and he was out. I ruined my vagina. Like, it is ruined. So I've kind of hinted at this a few times, and actually Eric was the one who encouraged me to talk about this on the internet, because he was like, women should know about this. Like, people should talk about this kind of stuff online. Women oftentimes are told not to talk about their bodies in any way other than like a sexual way. Is kind of how we're encouraged to show off our bodies and talk about our bodies. But rarely do you hear someone be like, hey, I have stitches all over my vagina, or I have veins all over my boobs, let me show you. And I think it's important for women to show all the different types of things that can happen to our bodies, because our bodies are really cool. And yeah, so basically I don't know all the details of what exactly kind of tears that I got, because every time I asked my doctor or the nurses like, hey, what's going on with the stitches, they would just be like, there's a lot, and like do really big eyes. Literally I asked like 4 or 5 times when I was in the hospital, what kind of stitches do I have? Like how many stitches do I have? What kind of tears did I get? And every time they just be like, there's a lot. So I pushed for 30 minutes, and basically to give you an idea of how many stitches I had, the doctor was stitching me for over an hour. So I was laying there after I gave birth for over an hour as he stitched me up. And there are stitches, not anymore, they have dissolved. Okay, so now I'm gonna get into the details. Oh my God, this is so weird. Basically, I was in a lot of pain after I gave birth because of the stitches. There were so many stitches, and I was afraid to look. I finally looked 2 weeks after I gave birth. So I don't know what it looked like right after, but I know that 2 weeks after I gave birth, it made me cry, like sob cry when I looked, because it didn't look like a vagina anymore. First, I'm gonna tell you what I saw, which was a disaster. And then I will try to draw you a little cartoon picture of like where I think the stitches were at. And then I'm gonna talk to you about how I felt, because it was intense. When I looked with a little mirror, I saw stitches go like, okay, so there's your vagina hole. It went up towards like the front. It went up high. It went up really high. And then went like to the side, like, and kind of cut through like part of like my vagina flappage. I know all the scientific terms that are in the vagina, so. And then the stitches went all the way back, right near the buttocks, but not all the way to my butthole. So like it went up pretty far back, but like it didn't reach my butthole. So it wasn't one big gaping hole. It was like, you know, a gaping hole and then my butthole, which was covered in hemorrhoids. So hemorrhoids you get from different ways, but how I got my hemorrhoids was from pushing so freaking hard. It made all these hemorrhoids happen, and they were all just like popping out my butthole. My booty hole don't even look like a booty hole no more. It looks like a crusty cauliflower head. Like, it is not cute. Like, that is not a cute butt. So my butthole just is nasty. And my vagina, the stitches went, it was kind of like that, like kind of like a, that was the shape of the vagina stitches. And the whole of my vagina was large when I looked at it 2 weeks after giving birth. It was large, and it looked like my insides were pouring out of my vagina. Like, it literally looked like the intestines were trying to escape my vagina. Like, I could see them like coming out is what it looked like. And there were tons of stitches on all of that. So I could see stitches inside, like all over inside my vagina. So that is what I got. And so I've had my 6-week checkup with my gynecologist, and he was like, looks good, everything's clearing up nicely. And I was like, why doesn't it look like a vagina? And he was like, because it's still healing. So I am scared that it's never gonna look or feel the same again. I'm really terrified of my vagina. It still doesn't look right to me. The biggest thing, in my opinion, is that it looks like a chunk of my vagina is missing. So there's like a chunk gone. Like, I don't know where it is. Like, it didn't get sewed back on. I don't know if my kid ate it on the way out. I don't know if it just like, I popped some stitches because I was excited I wasn't pregnant anymore. So I was like dancing and moving around way too much right after I gave birth. And so like, I must have popped a bunch of stitches, and then like, it just popped a chunk. I don't know, but my vagina doesn't look like a vagina anymore, y'all. And I've talked to a lot of moms, and they've said, it goes back, I promise, it all goes back. So apparently it goes back, but mine has not gone back to how it was. It looks much better than it did 2 weeks after I gave birth. It looks more like a vagina now, but it still, to me, looks terrifying. I looked at it, and I came into Eric, and I was like, oh my God. I was trying to make a joke of it, like I kind of am this whole video, like joking around and acting and talking weird, because it makes me uncomfortable and sad. So I came into Eric, and I was like, oh my God, I just looked at my vagina. It's so weird, it's so gross. And he didn't play into my like jokey manner of talking. He literally looked at me really sincerely, and he goes, are you okay? And I just like, my eyes welled with tears, and I was like, no. oh, and I just started like sobbing, because there's something about like that's the thing that, you know, that's the sexual organ that makes me a woman. And I know being a woman is like how you feel and who you are on the inside. Like that's what makes me a woman. Like I am a woman because that's what I feel that I am. That's not me trying to be insensitive to women who don't have vaginas, because I know that exists too. But for me personally, like my vagina is what makes, you know, that is an important part of me feeling like a woman, is my vagina and my breasts, and the fact that I could see my boobs looking as weird and as different as they do, and with scars and marks all over them, and then to also see my vagina and my butt like just terrifying looking, you know, it just took away any part of me that could have possibly felt sexy or womanly or anything like that. And I just cried. Like I cried and cried and cried. And I'm running out of room on this. Okay, so I was trying to explain it to him, like it's hard to, I guess it's hard to explain unless you've experienced it. So it's not like, I have hair in my mouth. It's not like, you know, I got like a broken finger or like stitches all the way down my arm or something, and now my arm looks totally different, or my leg or my foot. Like it's not like that. It feels so much different and so much heavier, that it's something that is such a personal, you know, part of my body that it, to me, looked destroyed, was really jarring. And I had an emotional reaction to it that I was not anticipating at all. It really just, I don't know, it was really jarring and just emotionally terrifying to see. So anyway, I went through all of that, and I guess I'm saying all of that so that if there's anyone else out there who watches my videos who is pregnant or who has had a kid and has felt that way, maybe feels less alone, because a lot of the things that I have experienced with my pregnancy and after having the baby, I have felt like kind of alone, and the only thing that made me feel better was talking to other women who have experienced similar things. So when I was pregnant and feeling horrible, the only people I felt like I could talk to who really understood were women going through the exact same thing as me. And these are two things that, my boobs looking the way they do and my vagina being how it was, those are two things I haven't found women yet that have experienced the same thing. So I felt very alone going through those things, and I was like, well, if me talking about it can, one, educate people on what your body really goes through with birth and breastfeeding and whatnot, that's great that I can educate people on what happened to my body. Doesn't mean it happens to all bodies, but it's what happened to mine. So that would be great. And also if I can, you know, make one woman out there feel like less alone in, you know, this experience, then it's worth it. Although this video is probably gonna get deleted because YouTube is weird sometimes and deletes things that aren't inappropriate, but yeah, I don't know. So that's the tea. That's my boobs. That's my boos. That's my jam. It's obviously all worth it. Like I would do it again in a heartbeat to have my son. Like, I mean, I'm never getting pregnant again, hopefully, because my pregnancy was so bad I'd never want to do it again. It was worth it. Like every second was worth it to have Flynn, but I would not voluntarily go through a pregnancy again because my body just couldn't handle pregnancy like other women's bodies can. So yeah, that's the tea. And now I'm gonna go. But if you haven't seen my full body transformation video on my main channel, go check that out. Subscribe to this channel if you're not already. And I love you guys, and I hope this video didn't scare you too much. Okay,